Yes, yes, yes. You better come on in. It is a winning Wednesday. We are the Empowered Morning Show, and I'm excited to be here this morning because I'm with my girl Natashah Khan, baby. And listen, whenever you get onto the Empowered Morning Show, we are looking to get you plugged in. If you haven't been tuned in, you need to get plugged in so that you can make sure that every day is a day where you started off knowing that you are empowered to win. You are empowered
Yes,
to be
yes, yes, yes.
victorious. You are empowered to live a life of abundance. You are empowered to live on purpose for purpose, right? So, Natasha, how are you this morning?
I am well for a Wednesday. It's
For
the
a
middle of the week.
Wednesday, for the hump day, yes. It's hump day out here. So good morning, everybody. Miss Patricia, good morning. Good morning. Good to see you this morning. Miss Phyllis, good to see you as well. She said, good morning, empowered women and men of God. Yes, I love it. I love it. And I love that. We get to see you ladies here. And thank you for those who are watching from other platforms and those who will be catching the replay. Because I know that, sometimes you up in the morning doing your thing and you don't get to catch it. So whether you get it in the mornings, the afternoons, or at night, the word is still good. The word is still something that will help you throughout your
Amen.
day. So
You're going
don't
to get it no matter what, one way or the other.
one way or the other. So don't let the mornings fool you. That's just like when people talk about morning sickness, during pregnancy. It's not always in the morning.
Mm.
Sometimes they have, they get sick throughout the day or they get as sick at night. We say morning sickness, but it happens at
It's more
any
like
time.
all day.
Yeah, for some people it's all day. Yes, thank God that wasn't my story, but yeah. So, Natasha, I know that we've been talking a lot. The whole thing for, this year really has been about healing and healing for real. And for a lot of people, that sounds good, but they
Hmm.
struggle with it. They struggle with, excuse me, looking themselves in the mirror and recognizing and acknowledging and taking accountability that although I've been hurt and that hurt wasn't my fault, the healing part is. The healing part is my responsibility. And I've got to be strong enough and bold enough to take the time to go back and get that little hurt girl. Or if you're a man watching, go back and get that little hurt boy. Or face the things that I really have buried. I pushed down, refused to deal
Hmm.
with it, went on with my life, but thinking that it's going to go away and it doesn't go away. This is like, driving a car and you hear this little clacking noise and you're like, what is that? And you're just like,
And you
I
just
don't know.
ignore it.
Maybe if I just keep going, it'll go away eventually.
Hmm.
And sometimes it does go away, but then it comes back. It
But
never
even if
goes
it even if it goes away, doesn't necessarily mean that the car is better or that the car
away.
is, all of a sudden
Exactly.
fixed, right?
Exactly. That's the
So,
thing. I think people, you convince yourself that,
yep.
because I ignore it, because I bury my head in the sand, because I look the other way, that it magically disappears. No, that's not what's happening here.
Yeah, it just man, you just like open an entire can of worms. We struggle with reflection and I understand, pain is pain. We all have pain and most of the times I get from clients is that they don't want to feel it, right? They don't want to go through
Mm-hmm.
that again. And I
Mm-hmm.
try to explain to people that when you're reflecting on something, yes, the emotions will come up, but you're not really going through it again. It's not like you're in the same place. You're not
Right.
with the same people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's only really in your mind. You're telling yourself that it's bad. And I guess I always tell you that everything is always rooted in mindset. If I say
Mm-hmm.
something is too painful, if I say something is too hard, if I say it's difficult, I'm putting it out there that it's something that I can't handle and it's not
Mm-hmm.
something God can even get me through,
Oh.
right?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
a robbery
exactly.
right there, though, Natasha. Because for those of us who believe in God, the word said there's nothing impossible for God. There's nothing God can't do.
Mhm.
However, we have allowed ourselves to think that this is too hard for me. But is it really? Because if you believe in God and God resides in you, then there's nothing too hard that you can get over and deal with and get through.
Drop the mic. I mean, then that's what it comes down to, right? We say that God is everything and God can do all things, but yet and God lives within us. But then it's a contradiction when I say, well, that's in the past and I don't want to deal with it anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not even giving God the opportunity to be a miracle worker in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You're not giving him the opportunity to be able to work through whatever it is that's going on in your life so he can really use you for his greater good. Because what a lot of people don't realize, and we talked about this, I think it was last week on the show, we had started the conversation about boundaries. And one of the reasons why many of us don't have boundaries, and or we have what in psychology refers to as porous boundaries, is because we haven't healed. It's because there's parts of us that don't believe we're worthy. We don't believe that we're deserving. We don't believe that, or we, whatever we're facing, we believe this is as good as it's going to get. And
Mm-hmm.
so as a result of that, we tolerate. I want everybody to hear that word. We tolerate a lot of
Mm-hmm.
bad behavior. We
Mm-hmm.
tolerate disrespect. We
Mm-hmm.
tolerate people talking to us any way they want to, how they
Mm-hmm.
want to, when they want to, and we don't say anything about it. Now, imagine in a world if you were healed.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine in a world where you're no longer carrying that emotional weight and you know who you are. You know that you are God's daughter. You know that you're God's favorite daughter. You know that you are deserving of everything that God has for you. That changes the way you see yourself in the world. It
Mm-hmm.
changes the way you see others, right? And that boosts your self-confidence. It's boosts your self-esteem. And when you're feeling good about yourself, you don't sit there and just tolerate anything and anyone, right?
Right.
Were you going to
Now,
say
let me
something?
say this. Yes, because the crazy thing about it is you don't realize that you're giving off. I don't know if I want to say you're giving off a certain type of presence wherever you are, right? People see you as confident. People see you as unsure. People see you as shaky. People may see you as, hey, she's a bad, you know what? People, the energy that you give off, people catch it even when you don't realize you're giving it off. So that's why
Mhm.
some men are able to take advantage of certain women because they see them as damsels in distress, or I always need some
Mhm.
help, or can you, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking to you to validate me. And or I don't want to go in here by myself, can somebody go with me? People see that, or when you look at somebody and you get ready to do something and you can tell whether or not they're afraid. It's some
Absolutely.
people, like say if you're in a bank robbery, you're in there and they can tell who's afraid, but then there's some people they look at like, oh, so you're not scared, and they want to try and intimidate you.
Yeah.
So my husband shared something with me yesterday. He's like, this is something you're going to probably want to talk about, right? And it was one of these AI videos, but the man was saying that when you go through life, how you show up matters. And if you show up poorly, people would
Mhm.
treat you poorly. But if you
Poorly.
show up like you are wealthy and you got it going on and you own the room, just by the mere fact that you show up like that, people's attitudes towards you change. He said you can walk into a room and be dressed like the CEO of the company or the owner of the hotel, and people will not stop you because they assume that you are supposed to be there just by how you walk and how you carry yourself. They will assume that if you went up to the hotel that you're going to get the penthouse suite, or they will assume that, oh, you look like somebody, so let me make sure we get you the best seat in the restaurant. How you carry yourself determines how a lot of people, and they may not even ask questions because you just carry yourself like, I belong here, and they don't even question
And
it.
and to clear up how you carry yourself, how you speak about
Yeah.
yourself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? What
Mm-hmm.
you say about yourself, and I know from the past I've been guilty to be the first one to put myself down.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives me a compliment and I don't know how to receive that compliment,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm quick to sort of body shame myself or look at myself and find a flaw or find a fault, right? people are paying attention. And
They
so if
are.
I don't see value in me, how can I even begin to expect that other people are going to see value in me? You know?
Exactly. And they may never say anything. They may let you go ahead and they may just like, ah. And then when the decision comes, you know how they say your people are speaking your name in rooms that you've never, good morning,
Yeah.
Tina, speaking your names in rooms you've never been in. When I talk to somebody and they are, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, no, she's probably not the right one for this that I'm getting ready to do. Yeah, let me get
Mhm.
somebody else because you know what I'm saying. Versus, like Tina and I had the conversation a couple of week before last. You know when we were talking about the book. You know she was in there. She was just talking about how she believes in God and how she's built up her inner strength. So say if I'm talking to somebody about a panel of people who believe God and trust Him and move that way, she would be somebody I would say, girl, call Tina Wynn because baby, she was
Mhm.
on that business. She, you know what I'm saying? Because her conviction about what she believed, it was non-negotiable. Like this is what
Sure.
I believe, point blank, period. You're not going to shake me, you're not going to break me, and you're not going to stop me. That energy transitions over to whoever you're around. And
Well,
so when you
and that ties into one of our boundaries called spiritual boundaries. Because
mhm,
now, when she's in a room, she's not just going to tolerate anything from anyone, right? And if people aren't spiritually aligned, she is not going to find herself in rooms or in spaces and or in places with people who are in alignment with where she's at in her relationship and understanding of God. If she's in a room where people either don't believe or may say things that are negative, she has the confidence and the knowledge and the understanding to respectfully put people in their place, right? That's why
yes,
boundaries are so important, because without boundaries we are just walking in and out, weaving in and out of people's lives, spaces, places, and things, and we have no conviction. We are not grounded in who we are and what we know to be true or what we believe to be true, and standing in that. And I almost envision like when we don't have boundaries, it's like being in quicksand,
mhm,
right? You will fall and succumb to anyone and anything at any time because you're not standing on a solid foundation, right? So I
right,
tell people all the time, boundaries are an absolute. And if you don't have boundaries, and when people say to me, well, I have boundaries, people just don't follow them. Boundaries, I've said it before, are not a set of rules, right?
mhm,
Boundaries is not something that you just tell somebody you either need to do this or else. It's not meant to punish people.
right,
We really understand that our boundaries are for us. We
mhm,
need to realize that we value ourselves, we know our self-worth, and this is our line in the sand. And it doesn't
yes,
matter if you're
and
married.
stand on it. Mhm,
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're married, if you have kids, even with your children, you need to
mhm.
have boundaries, you know?
Absolutely.
And
People don't even think about it like that, Natasha, or even, being married. The reality is what you said earlier, the word tolerate. Some things you should not tolerate. I don't care who it's from. Some
mhm,
things you should be like, you know what? I don't owe you an explanation about anything. Either you're okay with that or you're not.
mhm,
And mean that. Or I'm big on saying what I said. I'm not really backing down. I'm not backing down from that. And you know
mhm.
how sometimes people may say, somebody said, no, you can go ahead and say I said it because I did. And I did. I don't have, my husband and I were talking about that last night. It's a place in your life where you have to be strong enough to say, I don't have to explain this to you.
Amen.
I'm not, this is not the room that I need to be in. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave. And they're going to be like, why? Because this is not where I need to be.
Mhm.
That's it. And your no is your no. When your kids are like, "But I want it," I have. I
I
remember when my girls were little. I have walked out of a with a buggy full of stuff. Walked out, picked
same,
them up,
same.
walked out, and went into the car and said, "So what we're not going to do is get anything. How about
Yep,
that? How about that?"
yep. I have been there and I've done that myself. I love when you said it, it's so simple. Your no is no. There is no
Mm-hmm.
negotiation. There is
Mm-hmm.
no explaining. There is no nothing, because that no, behind that no is your worth and your value,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So if you don't say no, you are sending a nonverbal message to the universe and to people that says, do what you want, when you want, how you want, and I'm just going to tolerate it.
Yes.
Right? Now, in the
Mm-hmm.
whole concept of healing her, how are we really healing ourselves if we are willing to allow ourselves to be exposed to people, places, and things that have the risk and the potential to hurt us? Right? Every
Mm-hmm.
one of us come from backgrounds where if there isn't significant any type of trauma, we've been raised in some degree of dysfunction and or chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole point of why we're healing him or healing her is because of the root of where we come from is damage, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word,
Right.
right? So what am I saying to myself? I'm now older, and we say, oh, that problem or that situation was in the past. That was when I was younger. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
worry about that. It's no big deal. But now I'm an adult, and by me not having boundaries and allowing people to come in and out of my life and speak to me the way they want and treat
Mm-hmm.
me the way they want and do what they want to me, and me not say anything about it, am I not perpetuating the cycle of abuse?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Mm-hmm.
not continuing to carry the torch of whatever it is that I experienced? Right? Because one of the things on our boundaries list that we had was fear of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us tolerate and stay in unhealthy relationships. And I am not just talking about men and women, I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about your girlfriends, your best friends, all the
Yeah.
types of friends
Yeah. All the
where we
shifts.
stay, yeah, where we stay in those relationships because we're fearful of abandoning the person, or we're fearful that someone's going to abandon us.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
this said thing in your past that you don't want to face, this said thing that you're like, I'm good, we don't need to deal with that anymore, is now showing up presently in one of your ships, i.e., friendships or relationships or whatever. And you're still now allowing what happened to you then to happen to you now. It just looks a little different, right?
Let's marinate that for a minute, Natasha, because what you just said was when we say fear of abandonment, and somebody may say, child, I don't care if they stay or go.
Mm,
Maybe you don't, but you're concerned about somebody else who may have that experience. And so, because you do, you cross and blur the boundary lines that you have because you know they deal with that. So, in essence, it's not maybe you, but it's them, which ties you up in the same
which
package. So now
controls
you're in
you.
their hula hoop. You're in their
Yeah,
hula hoop dealing with their business and trying
correct,
to make it okay
correct.
for them to not feel abandoned. And you want to be like Tamar Braxton used to say, back in the day on her one of her shows about Velcro. You want to Velcro to them so that you know what I'm saying. You want
Which
to be
comes
there.
back to the attachment that we've been talking
Mm-hmm.
about, that we need to learn about having connection and alignment, not attachment. So in that
Mm-hmm.
case, as Velcro, you now and you have to think about this. So you're attaching to this person. You are worried because, let's say it's a friend, the friend has been abandoned in their past. You
Mm-hmm.
now are fearful that your friend is going to be abandoned if you walk away from them because you no longer want to tolerate the chaos, the dysfunction, the nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
spending on it, whatever. So now you're going to stay attached to this person for what reason? Because you feel guilty? Because you believe,
Or out of
because somehow,
obligation.
or you believe that you're obligated to stick with this person. So now this person remains sick emotionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you remain attached to them. What do you think is going to become of you? And what are you non-verbally telling the individual that you're attached to?
They actually have control. They can actually manipulate any situation they want to because they know that you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. And then you're non-verbally telling them, you are more important than me. So I'm going to stick it out here with you, and I'm going to do whatever you need me to do because I don't want you to feel abandoned. But aren't you? Now, this one's going to hurt, ladies and gentlemen. But isn't that self-abandonment? Aren't
Oh,
you then
Doris says sick
I
gets
wish
sick.
sick gets sick, right? I kind of wish we had Sparkle's bell right now that we
I
can
know,
ring.
right?
But while we're so focused on the other person and not abandoning them, you are abandoning self. And if you are abandoning self, that means you're not loving yourself. And if you're not loving yourself, then what are you really doing at the end of the day? Right? And so when we come back to the root of I'm trying to heal her, well, you're not really healing her because you're teaching yourself, that younger version of you, you're
Mm-hmm.
not important right now. You don't matter. There is somebody out there in the world that's sick, and you need to abandon yourself to go help that person. That is
Right.
not God. That is not what God wants from us. Right?
And let's say this, Natasha, just to kind of give it a visual. If you have been in a accident that requires you to be in a hospital because you're expected to have some kind of surgery to repair whatever wounds that you have, and somebody says, I need you, this is going on in my life, and you get up and walk out of the hospital without making sure that you get the surgery that you need, or you get whatever it is that the doctors need to do to heal you. So you're leaving to go out broken up, broke down, maybe potentially even about to die without whatever this process or surgery is.
Yeah.
Realistically, when you know you're in that position, you're not going to get up and go and help your friend because you don't want them to have abandonment issues. You're going to go through your surgery and do what you need to do to get healed.
Of yourself.
But because we feel like we're good and everything is right with us and we don't want to see somebody else go through it, we don't realize that emotionally we're doing the same thing as checking ourselves out of the hospital without getting the proper treatment.
That is a great analogy, because we can't, I shouldn't say we can't, we don't take the time to see and feel our emotions.
Uh-huh.
But emotional sickness is no different than mental sickness, hence mental health, right?
Uh-huh.
And emotional sickness is no different than physical sickness. As a matter of fact, emotional sickness is dangerous because if you're not taking the time to reflect, if you're not taking time to see your emotions and feel your emotions, it is going unattended, right? And ignored. But guess what? Your feelings drive the way you behave. So
Yes.
you can sit here all day and say that I don't have time to feel feelings and I don't have time to look at my feelings. First of all, you're not a robot. Second of all, pay attention to your behaviors and you will be able to gauge how emotionally sick you really are. If you are
Ooh.
obsessed, if you're compulsive, if you're impulsive, if you're controlling, if you're manipulating, if you're stubborn, if you're resistant, if you're guarded, I could give you a laundry list of behaviors.
Wait a minute, Natasha, because the reality is most people never even associate those types of things with, because even at the root of procrastination, there's an
Oh,
underlying, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much like, oh, I just don't feel like getting into it today, or oh, I'll start Monday. Oh, I'll start in July. I'll start,
mhm.
after the holiday.
And
Procrastination.
that excuse making, a behavior, is
Mhm.
driven by emotion. And the emotion is driven by what you believe to be true. So it comes back to mindset. I'm telling you, everything comes back to your mindset, and what you're believing to be true is what's driving all of this. So when someone is using things like, oh, you abandoned me, or
Mhm.
oh, you don't love me anymore, that is called emotional manipulation, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because at the end of the day, you should not be abandoning yourself. So you have no place in telling.
I ain't got to say that, but I got to go on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got that. Do you know that? And the reality is, people emotionally manipulate you all the time.
Mhm.
And we fall for it because for the sake of the family or for the sake of the friendship, or
Mhm.
you justify things about people. Well, they're just going through a hard time, or life's just been life and she's just been dealing with a lot. That doesn't give you permission. Because I love Tap the Brown. I always said, just because you're having a bad day, don't you dare go up and mess somebody else's.
Mm, 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 mm.
When
And
do you
that's actually one of our boundaries, was where your feelings are my feelings, and whatever's going on with you is affecting me. It doesn't need to be. You want to get up and have a bad day? You want to get up and be in the worst mood and not appreciate life and the air in which you breathe. You can do all of that. But let me tell you, please don't bring that my way, because I get up very excited for my day. I am very happy to be alive and breathing. So I don't allow people. That's why I'm very big on protecting energy. I talk about that
Mm-hmm.
a lot now. I
Mm-hmm.
protect my energy, because that negativity, right? That
Debbie Downer, we said Debbie Downer cannot come in my sphere,
space.
in my hula
Mhm.
hoop, and mess up my day. Not when I'm
Yes,
having a
ma'am.
good day, but, and if you think about it, we have people that you talk to. And sometimes when you talk to them, you're like, oh my God, every time I talk to this girl, she makes me feel so good. I feel like I'm ready to go out here and pick up this project that I hadn't done in a long time, or that I was thinking about. I'm going to go ahead and do it now, because they inspire you, they encourage you, they uplift
Mhm.
you, they give you that dopamine boost or whatever it is that
Yep.
helps you to say, you know what, let me stop procrastinating, because you know what, I can do this. I can do hard things. Yes, I can.
Amen.
Or do you talk to somebody and by the time they get through telling you that their back of their knees hurt, their ankles are swole, they got, lymphatic drainage and all these other things that are going on with them, and you get out the phone, you're just like, oh my God.
Just
I
drained.
was
I'm tapped
and I'm
out.
like, I don't even want to eat. I think I'm just gonna go to bed early, because I'm just like, that was a lot.
You need a nap from that.
I need to take the 7 to 8 hour sleep recommendation, because you've done so much. Like, I need to go plug in and charge in or something, because my battery
Uh-huh.
is drained.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
got to pay attention to the people that you're around and how they make you feel. Because again, that's another boundary. If you are allowing people to suck peace out of you, that's a problem. If you're
Yeah, so
allowing joy,
that's called emotional enmeshment, which is another area in our lives that we need to set boundaries. It's we allow our emotions to be shared in the same space as someone else, right? The
oh,
reality is you're having a bad day. You can have a bad day, but that doesn't mean I have to conform to you having a bad day, right? The same way,
right,
if I'm having a happy day, you don't have to conform to my happy. I want people to hear that that's a choice,
yeah,
right? You
right,
get to choose. You carry the power in the palm of your hands, and you get to decide for yourself, do I want this energy? Do I want this negativity? Or do I want to take what I have, protect it, and find myself in a space where I'm going to be able to carry that positive energy with me? A lot of us, and I just want to say this to be clear, a lot of us will say that people make us feel a certain way.
mm-hmm,
Do not take away power from yourself, because if I said to you, Angela, you make me feel some type of way, I am giving you control over
mm-hmm,
my feelings,
mm-hmm.
right? Versus when you do what you do, it triggers a feeling in me, gives me power to decide what am I going to do with it,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So there's a difference there. It's not
But
a
we give it
person.
up all the time. I mean, when you think about it, most people give up power all the time.
Mhm.
That would be just like me saying, I hadn't talked to Miss Doris. Wonder what's going on with Miss Doris. Miss Doris, oh, she acting funny, because usually, she been called or whatever. Or, how people would say, oh, girl, I'll never talk to you. You never call me. Well, if you wanted to talk to me, just
Pick
like
up
I
the
can call
phone.
you, you can't call me. If you wanted to talk to me, if you miss me, why would you call? I mean, it goes both ways, but we assume that
Mhm.
it's me. I've done something. What could have happened? Oh, well, see, since she's trying to be funny, I guess I won't. I guess their relationship is over and done with. And we give up so much. So now you're feeling all some type of way. Miss Doris is probably like, child, I was on vacation, baby, living my best life. I hadn't even thought about you. Sorry,
Right.
but not sorry. I'm out here living my life, and who knew that you were gonna think you did something to me, because we haven't talked in a couple of weeks.
So what comes to mind for me there is we're quick to jump to conclusions. We're
Yes.
quick to make assumptions when we don't have the facts, right?
Miss Doris said, "No, I tell them I am her now, baby." What you think, Miss Doris? I am no longer available to listen to this trash you
Good for
dump
you,
on me all
Doris.
the time.
Good for
I
you.
am hard now and I have my boundaries in place. So maybe I pull back because when we talk, I no longer am going to allow that to change me.
Well, and so that's where you're turning the corner to healing, because in that moment, it's such a definitive moment where you're realizing you know your needs. You know what you need. You know what you need to be happy, what you need to be joyful. You know what you need for peace. You know what you're needing. And so now you're finally saying, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. And my saying no, creating some separation between me and that individual that is emotionally sick, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I still don't care about you.
Yes.
What I'm saying to you is I love me too, and I
Mm-hmm.
love me enough to take a
Mm-hmm.
step back
Mm-hmm.
and let you work out whatever it is that you need to work out for you, because there's
Mm-hmm.
some things that I need to work out for me. Now, in time, if we're both healing for real, we in time on the journey can connect again.
Mm-hmm.
Remember,
Mm-hmm.
you'll hear me talk about the difference between, so here we were attached,
Mm-hmm.
right? We separated, took time to
You
heal,
pulled the
and on the
Velcro and took the Velcro off, and
yeah,
now you can
exactly.
connect for real, and it's not the
Correct.
Velcro back and forth
But
pull.
it's gonna take time for the connection, because it requires us to do work on ourselves, not go off in a corner and gossip and get new girlfriends and talk about your old girlfriends and or boyfriends or whatever the heck it is that
Right,
we do. You
right.
know, we're so quick to want to blame the other person. We do it in
Mm-hmm.
relationships with men. A lot of men get a bad break, right? Because we're
They
so
do.
quick to say, well, this man did this and that man did that. No, like,
Right,
you allowed that man to do what that man did. Like,
right.
guys have their problems the same way gals have their problems. But we have to start taking responsibility that when things don't work out, the same way it took two to make the relationship, it takes two to break the relationship. Now, you could
Absolutely.
sit here and pull rank and say, well, they had an affair and they did this and they did that. And listen, I say it all the time. I speak from experience. I was the first person that could tell you right out the gate that my ex-husband had an affair. And so the minute people hear, they're like, oh my God, her husband cheated on her. Da, 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 da. But let's talk about the fact that we were young in our marriage. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about the fact that the wisdom that I hold today, I did not have at 21 years old. I got married when I was 19, right? And I wish that some of what I knew today, I knew it back then, because maybe I would still be married, right?
Right,
There was a
right.
lot of emotional immaturity in our marriage,
Mhm.
and I have to
Mhm.
own that. I can't just
Yes.
put an affair on him and be like, oh,
Right.
well, he had an affair. We were having problems in our relationship way before that. Neither one of us knew how to communicate properly.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of us had boundaries. Neither one of
Mm-hmm.
us knew how to resolve conflicts. I was a
Mm-hmm.
yeller and he shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he wanted to be right, he had to prove me wrong, and vice versa. So at the end of the day, we could use the affair as, oh, this man is bad, he had an affair on me,
Right.
or we can call a spade and said, at the end of the day, we were so lost. We lost our identity, we lost ourselves in the relationship, and we
Mm-hmm.
where I started and where he ended, right? And the same thing happens in our friendships with our girlfriends.
It does. And you know what, Natasha, I'm glad that you brought it up in that manner because the reality is we want other people to empathize with us. And so
Mhm,
you throw out the blame for it to land on somebody else's shoulders.
mhm,
Bottom line, if we are married and something happens and we're no longer together, we got friends, we got family, you got people, but you want the other person to be the bad guy or the bad girl,
mhm.
so that people are on your side when really and truly it's not a side.
There's
It
no sides.
it's no side. You can still love them, talk to them, do what you do. That's your choice. Because I don't control how you connect with somebody else. But that has to come with maturity to say that I
Mhm.
own up to what I did, and that's why we're no longer together. Or think about the fact that, yes, I'm hurting and I called you and you this, and this. But how do you know? You just came to me with your stuff. You never asked me about mine. How do you know that I'm not going through something?
Absolutely.
And
Because
a lot
people
of
are
times,
so focused on themselves.
yes, you're focused on why you think certain things happen, but at the same time, how do you know that maybe let me just say, use myself as an example. People say, when do you sleep? When do you sleep? When do you sleep? Well, maybe I'm in a season now of saying, you know what? I'm carrying my butt to bed. Stuff
Mm,
done or not done. Because I've spent so many years not sleeping that I recognize now I'm getting older and I need to get my butt in the bed so that I can still be as productive as I used to be. So I'm cutting time, but I'm increasing productivity. Because now, before it was a hustle, grind, get it done. And now is I gotta take care of me. And maybe
that's a
take
form of
care of me,
self-care.
self-care. So now maybe taking care of me is I have to have the boundaries set. I'm not gonna be ripping and running and doing. Now
Available
I'm more
24
available.
hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yes, I just because you send me a text, I'm not, because people have done it before. You know what I'm saying? To say that, oh, well, you always answer in 3 seconds. So what's going on? Oh, so
Yeah,
you
what's wrong with you now?
what's wrong with you now? Exactly. And it may be nothing wrong. Maybe I looked at it and said, you know what? Right now I'm getting ready to do something else for me. And once I'm available,
Yeah,
I'll get back to
because we have this thing in society now. People go, there's a thing on your phone where you could tell that someone's read your
it.
text message,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
So
yes.
they'll go, well, I saw that you read it 10 hours ago. Okay, but did you even ask me where I was 10 hours ago? Because I might have opened it, but I might have been on the floor vomiting, right? Or I might have been in the middle of something, or I might have been stuck in a traffic jam, or maybe like we live in such a self-absorbed, self-centered
Right. Like, did
world.
you see what I sent you? Look.
Like I'll get to it. You know what I mean? But uh,
Mm-hmm.
coming back to taking ownership, what I will say in what you just shared, and we all need to look at this, is we teach people how to treat us. And
We
so
do.
prior to what you're talking about now, unfortunately, you more than likely have sent a message to
I'm,
others that says,
I'm
"Oh,
available
well,
all the time. Always
correct."
available.
And Angela doesn't
I'm
need to
like
take a
Waffle House,
break.
baby. 24 hours a day, girl. Rains, no matter the seasons. I'm just like, I sent the message that I am Waffle House Incorporated.
Right. So,
Always
so
open,
now
always available.
so now I want you to imagine this, and this is for other people out there too. Now imagine now you've just said no. If
Mm-hmm.
a person is so used to you saying yes all the time,
Mm-hmm.
your no doesn't sound like a boundary. Your
Right.
no doesn't sound like self-respect. Your no doesn't sound like self-care. What they hear is abrasive, aggressive, you're in a bad mood, you don't love them, you don't care about them, and they make it about them because when we have no boundaries, we sacrifice ourselves so much that we make it about other people. And so we teach them that they actually have more value than us. So when you set
Right.
the boundary and you raise the bar, right? Because we're not better than anyone's, but now we're on
Mhm.
equal ground. They don't like that,
Correct. Because say
right?
for instance, if I look at something, somebody sent me something at 2 a.m. and I'm thinking to myself, like, are you crazy? Why would you send me something and expect me to respond at 2 a.m. whether I'm up or not? Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. But because I'm accustomed and back then would be up, probably already up, I might respond. But no, like, the response would be, what are you doing up? Why did you send it to me?
Yeah.
You can't. Why are you up at 2? But you sent it to me at 2. So hey, we're
Uh-huh.
here. It is now. You know what? Like you said, going back to just understanding boundaries, knowing how to use them, not to harm anybody, but to really protect yourself. Because the version of you that needs protecting is a better version, because now when you're healing for real, you come from a genuine honest place. Now you're well rested, so now you're not making snap decisions. Now you're not always on the defensive. Now you don't feel like you have to be obligated, or you have to you do things out of the goodness of your heart without expecting anything in return. When you're
Mhm.
healed for real, you can do things and somebody say, oh, okay, I'll pay you back. You don't have to.
You don't need to.
You
I'm
don't need to,
genuinely giving with no
with
expectation in
no
return.
expectations.
And that's where authenticity comes from. You become authentic when you are learning to do things because you genuinely naturally want to do it And there's this balance of I'm going to give to you, but I'm also going to make sure that I save some for myself. And I think I might have used this analogy with you before. It's like going to you're throwing a party and you want to make your favorite dish for your
Mm-hmm.
guests, right? How
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes we prepare for a party, we prepare the house, we make all the food, everybody comes, eats all of your food, makes a total mess, and then they leave, and now you're exhausted because now you're left to clean up the mess, and all of that great food that you cooked, guess what? You didn't even save a sliver of that food for yourself. So now you don't even get to enjoy this dish that you made, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
But you're
someone who
but you're
is
tired and you're pissed off because everybody
and
left you.
hungry.
So not only and hungry. So not only do are you angry that they left, and then you got to clean up and you're overworked and tired, but then you're really pissed off because I didn't even get a plate. Nobody even thought enough of me
Correct.
to even make sure I got a plate.
Correct. So that is not you being, that is not your authentic self.
Right.
That is not you giving genuinely. In
Right.
those moments, you gave with a subconscious expectation that somehow somebody is going to reciprocate the kindness that you were giving. That
Mm-hmm.
is not servitude, and that is not what God called us for. What God
Right.
called us for is when you serve, right? So, for instance, in that same scenario that we just painted, I would have taken some of that food, made myself a plate, and put
Mm-hmm.
it up,
Yes.
right? Because I don't know
Yes.
about you, but when I'm hosting and I cook a lot of food,
See me,
I'm not
I
always
can't eat
hungry.
then. Exactly. I'm not
Correct,
hungry. I'm not going to eat until later
correct,
on because I
right?
can't. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. So you make that plate and you put it to the side. Or you don't want to touch the food yet. Let's say it's a buffet style thing or whatever. But as people are making a plate, you still make a plate for you and you put it up, right? What you're learning to do is realize like, okay, I can give to them, but I'm also making sure that I'm giving to myself. So at the end of the day, when the party's over, and all that food is gone, I get to be excited because when everybody's gone, I can grab my little plate and grab my fork and I can go sit in a corner and I could enjoy the fruits of my labor.
Yes.
There is something so satisfying and gratifying in being able to do that. So now I have no expectations about the people that just left. I don't expect a thank you. I don't expect a compliment. And I don't expect somebody to bring me a plate because guess what? I already did that for me. I told God,
And
thank you
it's
for
a
provision.
shift. It's a shift in how you show up and see things. So now when they call you the next day and say, girl, we had a good time, you just like, I'm glad somebody did. Girl, I ain't even get a plate.
Mhm.
Girl, everybody left. I had to clean up. Instead of you being your mood is different. You know, when you can leave and
Uh-huh.
you're like, okay, I ate good. So everybody had a great time. So when they call you tomorrow, say, oh my God, we had a great time. You're like, I'm so excited and glad about that. We need to do it again sometime.
Yeah, and
You can
I'll be like, I had a good time too because when you all left, I got my peace and quiet and I got to eat my food. But that food was great. Now I could talk to you about how amazing the food was because I actually took the time to eat it and actually
exactly,
eat my own food, right?
exactly,
And this
exactly.
is what people don't understand. It's like this whole being a sacrificial lamb and abandoning yourself, and then you want to call it servitude and say, well, this is what God said. No, God didn't tell you to hate yourself. God didn't tell you to abandon yourself. God didn't tell you to to give to people with this ulterior motive or this expectation that at some point you can cash in your chips to get something that you want.
We said we are not at the county fair. We are not at the casino. Look, no, that's not where we are.
And I don't understand it when people say I'm too tired to take time for myself. And I go, "What? What do you mean? There are 24 hours in a day. What do you mean you don't have time to take time for yourself? You take time
But
to host and take a
Natasha,
shower."
society has not built that up. You know what I'm saying? For you, society makes you feel like you're selfish. And Miss Patricia said, yes, that's the attitude I have. Everyone has been refreshed.
Mhm. As long as you're being refreshed with them, I like what you're saying. Society does have an influence, right? But let's be careful here of how much influence we allow society to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
We fall into
Mm-hmm.
what you were saying earlier of making the excuse of, well, society has it built this way, and so therefore I am this way. But you don't have to be,
You
right?
don't. But you know what? I think it's hard for people to separate it. This is like, how people say for generations, this is how the women in my family, this is what they do, and this is how they are, and this is what, and so you fall in line with things. We tend to follow the lead or the crowd or what's popular or what's in before we will check in with ourselves to see if that aligns with who we are in this moment. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
if all of the women in your family have been, or just, how sometimes people say, oh, well, everybody in my family graduated from this school, right? That might not be what you want to do. Everybody may be
Mhm.
architects. If that's not what you want to do, why would you go to school and graduate from the school that your great grandfather and your father, everybody, you got a generation, a long line of people who went there. And so the expectation is that that's what you're going to do. What are you going to do when you grow up, little Timmy? I'm going to be an architect like my dad and my granddad and my great
Mhm.
granddad. And little Timmy is thinking like, I really want to be a firefighter. And they're looking
Mhm.
at him like, we don't do
Well,
that.
and that's where the people pleasing sets in, or there's this fear of not being a part of the family, or the fear of you're going to be judged, right? One of the other things on our list for boundaries is confusing love with rescuing and or suffering. So in that example,
Mm.
someone's going to sacrifice their desires and their passion of what they're really called and chosen to do because they think that if I don't do what my family wants me to do, they're not going to love me. Right? A lot of
Mhm.
us do a lot of things for that reason. Well, if I don't do this, they won't love me. Love's got nothing to do with it. Love is an action. Love is separate to what we're talking about. And the
Mhm.
fact that we
Mhm.
bring the two together, that's where I think confusion comes in.
Yes.
And we chalk everything up to, well, God says I need to do this. And if I don't do this, then I must not, then I'm not loving God or I'm not honoring God. If you took some time to have a conversation with God, God will tell you what time it is and he'll keep it real with you and let you know what you should and shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if we actually took the
before
time,
before the fact, because God is not a reactive God. You know
agreed,
what I'm saying?
agreed.
And so
Yeah,
when
if
you think
we,
about it, that's like somebody telling you, "Oh, I like him for you. That's who you should marry." And you're thinking,
hmm,
I don't know if I want to marry them, but you fall into the pressure, and y'all say,
mhm.
"I do," and then 6 months in, I should have
You're
not
like,
done
I
this
should have consulted God on that one.
beforehand, and not falling into somebody else pushing you into the direction they feel like is best for you. Or say you have a kid out of wedlock and they say, well, you should marry that girl. She got your kid and that's the responsible thing to do. A lot of people are in situations because they have allowed the responsibility or the obligation or that's
The
just what we do.
opinion, the
Yes, the
opinion
opinions
of
of other
others to
people.
influence
Yes.
them.
Or somebody
Mhm.
says, "Oh, girl, that's a good job. You got to go with the government. Oh, you better get that government job because that's what everybody wants, a good government job." And so you get in, you go, and
It's
you're
so
miserable for 40 years because you've been there and you've hated every minute of it.
So a lot of people have done that in marriages. Some people are still married today because they were told from a generation before what they should and shouldn't do, right?
Yes,
And we
yes,
learn to settle.
yes.
We learn to sacrifice. And so you have a lot of us out there that don't know who you really are. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know who God really created you to be because a lot of the decisions that you've made or a lot of the relationships that you find yourself staying in is out of obligation. It's out of feeling bad for somebody and well if I leave or if I do this, they won't have anybody else. Okay, you're not God. And at the end of the day, they will have God. I can't tell you how many people, and the first thing that people say is, "Oh, Natasha, you're so quick to want, you just want everybody to be single." I don't want everybody to be single, and I'm not here to break up a happy home. I'm a marriage and family therapist by trade. I'm all about reunification, but the one thing that I stand for is for us to learn to be genuine and authentic.
Yes.
And many of us do not know how to do that. Many people get married and they rely on their partners to make them whole. That is not what God has called you for. So what
Mhm.
happens now is this idea of being whole without your partner. A lot of people are scared to death because they don't know how to fill that void and how to fill
Yes.
that space, right?
Yes.
That's a
Right.
problem because when you show up before God so that you can fully serve God, you've got to show up to God whole. That means you got to show up with all parts of you. He didn't say bring your partner along. He
Right.
didn't say bring your best friend along. He said, come as you are, bring you yourself, the
Bring.
individual, to me, right? And so we've got a lot of people out here all proud about, oh, I've been married 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And when you ask people, who are you? 95% of the
Mhm.
time do not know how to answer the question. The response is, well, I'm a wife. I've been married for 30 years. That is not your identity. You being married
So
for 30
true.
some odd years or how many years you in double digits, that is not your identity. Being a husband and being a father is not your identity.
Exactly.
It is a role in which you have in this world, but who you are at your core. And the reason why I speak so much on this is at 31 years old, when I thought that my identity was in being a mother and being a wife and being a caretaker and being all these things, at 31, I lost it all.
Mm.
That was a defining moment in my life when God gave me a second chance at life to say, that's not who you are. That's not who I called you to be, right? You were not just created to be a mother and to be a wife and to be
Right.
somebody's friend. I
Right.
called you for greater things. And I need you to know who you are in me in spite of those things. So in a matter of 6 months, I lost custody of the girls.
Mhm.
I lost my husband, lost my marriage, lost my house, and lost my job. 5 things that Natasha's identity was wrapped in.
It's wrapped in. Yes.
And within
Wow.
6 months, all of it gone. And then ask me who I was, and I couldn't tell you. So now I can't be a mom. Someone doesn't want me as a wife. We don't have a house to live in, so I don't have a house to take care of. And it literally was like this. When you watch the little domino setups, like when you hit one,
Yes.
all
Yes.
the dominoes
And you
start
one
falling
and all
down.
of them fall down. Yes.
That's exactly what my life is. But I wholeheartedly believe that I had to go through that and had to be stripped of all of those things so that I can truly know who I am today.
Yeah.
And I make no bones about it that I am chosen, that I am favored, that I am brave, that I am bold, I am beautiful, I am confident. I am the woman God created me to be from the very beginning of time. And that is who in which I step out into this world to be today, right? And I
Mhm.
know who I am. So that means without a husband, without children, without a job, I know who I am in God. I know that he has favor over my life. I know that he's got plans for me, Jeremiah 29:11, right? So I
Yes.
rest in that every single day. You can't put me in a bad mood. I could
I
choose to be in
love
a
it.
bad mood, but I refuse to be in a bad mood because I know who my God is and I know who I am in him. And that, at the end of the day, is why boundaries are very important.
Listen, wait a minute. I wasn't ready. That part right there. That was good. That was good. That was good. And And you know what? I love that you went that route because one thing Sparkle was saying the other day when she talked about I'm God's favorite daughter, I'm God's favorite daughter, and then she said, well, when somebody else says I'm God's favorite daughter too, she said, yes, now you get it. Now you get it. You let me say I'm God's favorite daughter for so long, and you didn't challenge it to come back and say, okay, so you can be God's favorite daughter, but guess who he
Two.
loves too?
Yep.
He loves him some me too. I am his favorite too. Everybody has the right to say, I'm God's favorite daughter. I'm God's favorite son. I am favored by God. I know the plans He has for me. He loves me, and I am His apple of His eye. This Phyllis said, "Hallelujah!" Awesome analogy of your identity, Natasha. Absolutely, we need. We need the
Need
bill.
the bell.
Because that right there was passionate and it was empowering and it was saying What you're not going to do is make me think anything less of myself, because you either choose to be with me or you choose not to be. Whichever way, I stand on who I am. I believe that wholeheartedly. I know God has plans for me, baby, and it's for a hope in the future. I'm not stuck in this rut, in this mess, in this toxicity. I'm getting myself out of that. I'm becoming her. I'm becoming healed so that I can stand in front of somebody and run all that down that Natashah said and be like, and I dare you to try and do anything outside of that, to tell me anything other than that, because if so, you're going to be blocked, because I got a boundary for that.
And can I tell you how liberating, how freeing mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Well, I'm more spiritually connected to God as a result of healing her and knowing who I am in God.
Yeah.
In fear. I'm not crippled and paralyzed in anxiety and depressed and worried about what other people's opinions are. People are going to have opinions.
They
And I
are.
welcome them. And I welcome your opinion. I even
Mhm.
welcome your negative opinion about me. Because here's the thing, you weren't even willing to stand in a room long enough with me to even have a conversation with me, to even to really get to know me, to be able to know who I really am. So have your opinion. I welcome it. A lot of times I tend to chuckle at people's opinion because they don't have facts. You know what I mean? You want to sit in your home and have your opinion and formulate your thoughts and believe what you want to believe. I literally had this conversation with my mom at the beginning of the year of her having an opinion about my not coming around. And I'm like, you've never asked. You don't even know the truth, but yet you wholeheartedly believe it as if it's truth when it's not. So if that's what you're choosing to do, if you're not willing to be an adult and have a mature conversation and learn what the facts are, we are no in alignment. We are no longer connecting. And I am going to go pray for you with God in silence. And we're just going to go ahead and go about our business.
Yes, absolutely. But the thing about it is, Natashah, being okay with it either way. Because the
Mhm.
thing about it is, you have to know life goes on. Even when you die, life goes on. Even when they leave you, life goes on.
Facts.
Even if they stop talking to you, your life
Life
still should
goes
go
on.
on. Even when you lose the job, they're still doing their thing. Do you
Mhm.
know that anytime you think the worst thing that could happen, even if it happens, you're still here. So you have a choice to decide how you're going to show up based on that. You could have
Mhm.
taken yourself out because they took your girls, or that your husband, you got a divorce, or that you no longer has your house, or you could have chosen to say, well, hey, there's no reason for me to live, but
And
you're
I
still
did.
here.
I
Correct.
did,
But
right?
you're
And
still
but
here. You know what
and
I'm
that
saying?
is proof. Then that's proof of how great our God is. Because I wanted out.
Yes.
I actually wanted out. And I remember telling somebody the other day, I was mad when I woke up 2 days later and realized I was still alive, because I was like, who am I? Why am I even here? What is the purpose? And my God said, I will show you your
Mhm.
purpose.
Mhm.
I am not done with you. Love telling that part of my story, because for those that
Mm.
don't believe or believe, but then they sit here with depression and anxiety and worry and still living in their pain, your God is so great that even when you don't want to be here, He's going to show you that He needs you here. He's going to show you that He chose you. He created you. He has plans for you, and He will do with you what He pleases, right?
Mm.
However you refer to, is going to utilize you the way He intended from the very, very beginning.
Yes.
Talking to a friend yesterday about my spirituality and sort of the sixth sense that I have and how intuitive I am. And the gift of discernment. I've had it since I was a little girl. But when I was a little girl, people told me that I was crazy. People
Mm.
told me that my head was in the clouds and I had a wild imagination. No,
Mm.
I didn't actually have a wild imagination, and as a result, I didn't get the chance to cultivate that. Right? I
Mhm.
didn't get the chance to nurture that gift that God gave me. So
Right.
I allowed people, their opinions, no boundaries, all the things to lead me to my demise. And God says, mm-mm, that is not what I created you for. Let me show you what I've created you for. And now, this new life that I've embarked upon, When I tell you that I'm unstoppable, unbreakable, unshakable, and that there's no arrogance in that, I am convicted in knowing who I am in God and who God is in me. You'll never catch me where I used to be.
But it's such a powerful place. We're going to end it right there. But that is a powerful place to be, to stand on the fact of knowing who you are and whose you are. And everything that we do here, when we talk about healing for real, when we talk about the boundaries, and when we talk about all the things, ultimately it's knowing who you are, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God created you with a hope because He has a plan for you, for your future. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get that and you know that you're His, even you can't stop the plans He has for you. Natasha just said she was mad because she thought she had stopped, and He was just like, no, 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 not you. Maybe somebody else, but not you. I have something more for you to do. So you thought you was getting ready to check out. No, that's not what I have for you. And so sorry. You can be mad all you want to, but
I checked out of my old life and the self-centeredness and self-absorbed and making it about me. And He turned all of that around. And now I serve only Him.
How powerful is that? Catch the replay. Go back and listen to some of this. Go back, and if you don't do anything else, honey, catch what Natasha said when she defined who she is unapologetically. Period. This is who I am. When you get to that place, it's a good place to be in. And like she said, it's not arrogance. It's confidence in who God created you to be. And if you don't do anything else, always be confident in who God created you to be, because there's nobody else like you. Ever. Never will be. I don't care what people say about being replaceable or what have you. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who comes behind me. They won't be me. It's going to be a difference, because if nothing else, they don't have the fingerprints that I have. There's always something unique about you. Stop letting people make you feel like you're just like everybody else. You're never like everybody else. Ever. Ever. Get that in. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. How about that? Do that. Listen, this is Wednesday. Have a wonderful winning Wednesday. Worship, honey. Get yourself in a position where you start recognizing who you are, and never let anybody disrupt
and tell you otherwise.
Water down anything about you. Don't tolerate it. Don't entertain it. Make sure they know. But this is the Empowered Morning Show, because I believe God. Do you believe God? Because we believe God unapologetically every single day. We don't apologize for any of that. We don't owe anybody any explanations of why we do. When somebody wants to ask you a question, because I do. Period. You don't have to. That's up to you. But what I
you don't have to like it.
You don't have to like it. But it is what it is, because we believe God around here. You guys have a great rest of the day. Natasha.
Bye, everyone.
We'll talk soon. Bye.